Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, Counterspy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve.
Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into a time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
We go back 72 years on this Saturday to November 26, 1950. Don-Maclaughlin, Mandel-Kramer in an episode of Counterspy and the case of the Hideous Hijacker. And we thank you for spending part of your Saturday with us. This is the 26th day of November, 330th day of the year, 35 days remaining until we get to 2023. Captain James Cook became the first European to visit Maui in the Hawaiian Islands on this date in 1778. A National Thanksgiving Day observed in the U.S. on this date in 1789, as recommended by President George Washington and approved by Congress. Founded on this date in 1842, the University of Notre Dame, and in 1917, the National Hockey League formed. The Toll of the Seas debuted as the first general release film to use two-tone Technicolor in 1922. In 1941, President Roosevelt signed a bill establishing the fourth Thursday in November as Thanksgiving Day. In 1942, President Roosevelt ordered nationwide gas rationing beginning December 1st. Troops from the People's Republic of China launched a massive counterattack in North Korea against South Korean and American forces in 1950, ending any hope of a quick end to the conflict. Now debuting on this date in 1956, The Price is Right. Yes, I said 1956. CBS does not like to acknowledge the fact that The Price is Right, starring Bill Cullen, debuted in 1956 because it was on NBC and later on ABC. It would be revived in 1972 in its current incarnation with Bob Barker and Drew Carey. It would run from 56 to 65 under Bill Cullen, as I said, on both NBC and ABC. And you can still see some of those shows periodically on Buzzer. In 1970 on this date, President Nixon moved to end the draft and move toward an all-volunteer army.
Looking to the future, while this measure will remove a great number of the inequities and particularly remove the uncertainty to which I referred, we shall not be satisfied until we finally can have the system which I advocated during the campaign of a completely volunteer armed force. We cannot move to that now because of the requirements for our armed services. That is, however, our ultimate goal.
And the all-volunteer army hasn't done half bad. In 1975, Squeaky Fromm found guilty of attempting to kill President Ford.
A jury of 8 women and 4 men has found Lynette Alice Fromm guilty of the primary charge of attempting to assassinate President Ford here in Sacramento on September 5th. Miss Fromm was not in the courtroom as the jury announced the verdict. She had been in a few minutes before, told the judge that she was not going to participate in the trial, but that she might have some statement to make to the judge later. The jury was polled by the defense. Each juror answered in a loud yes when asked if that verdict was the one they had found. Lynette Fromm guilty as charged.
Fromm was released on parole from Federal Medical Center Carswell on August 14th of 2009. President Reagan announced on this date in 1986 the members of what would become known as the Tower Commission.
Looking to the future, I will appoint a special review board to conduct a comprehensive review of the role and procedures of the National Security Council staff in the conduct of foreign and national security policy. I anticipate receiving the reports from the Attorney General and the Special Review Board at the earliest possible date. Upon the completion of these reports, I will share their findings and conclusions with the Congress and the American people.
Audio courtesy of the Ronald Reagan Library. Delta II rocket made its maiden flight on this date in 1990. George W. Bush certified the winner of Florida's electoral votes on this date in 2000 by Katherine Harris, going on to win the U.S. presidential election, that despite losing in the national popular vote. The Concorde made its final flight over Bristol, England on this date in 2003, and the Mars Science Laboratory launched to Mars with the Curiosity rover. Passing away on this date in history, abolitionist Sojourner Truth, bandleader Tommy Dorsey, donut entrepreneur Vern Winchell, Stan Berenstain, the Berenstain Bears author, and Trixie in The Honeymooners, Jane Keane. Born on this date in history, Eric Severide.
In the end, of course, it is not one's employers or colleagues that sustain one quite so much as the listening public when it be so minded. And I have found that it applies only one consistent test, not agreement with one on substance, but the perception of honesty and fair intent. There is in the American people a tough, undiminished instinct for what is fair. Rightly or wrongly, I have the feeling that I have passed that test. I shall wear this like a medal. Millions have listened intently and indifferently, in agreement and in powerful disagreement. Tens of thousands have written their thoughts to me. I will feel always that I stand in their midst. This was Eric Severide in Washington. Thank you and goodbye.
Eric Severide's farewell, November 30th, 1977, a long-time journalist for CBS. Also born on this date in history, Charles Schulz, you remember him, the author of Peanuts, Robert Goulet, and puppeteer Waylon Flowers. Rich Little turns 84 today. Delightful man. Had a lot of discussions with him when I was in Las Vegas on the radio there. Tina Turner, 83. The Supremes' Gene Terrell is 78. Fleetwood Mac's John McVeigh is 77. Retired NASCAR driver and commentator Dale Jarrett, 66. From Fastlane and Supergirl, Peter Fasinelli is 49. Natasha Bedingfield, fine singer, 41 years old. One of the co-founders of Facebook, Chris Hughes, 39. And singer-actress Rita Ora is 32. Those some of the people who celebrate the 26th day of November as their birthday. And if this happens to be your birthday...
Hi, we're the Four Freshmen, and we just want to say... Happy birthday to you!
From 72 years ago, November 26, 1950, Counterspy. Thanks for tuning in on this Saturday Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, 72 years ago, November 26, 1950, Counterspy.
Counterspy.
Washington calling David Harding, Counterspy. Washington calling David Harding, Counterspy.
Harding, Counterspy. Calling Washington.
United States Counterspy, especially appointed to investigate and combat the enemies of our country, both at home and abroad.
These Counterspy reports to the American people are brought to you each week at this time. Now, the case of the Hideous Hijacker. Would you care for a drink, Dillon?
Don't mind if I do, Mr. Shelby.
Myra, would you?
Scotch, isn't it, Dillon?
Yes.
Anything for you, Carl?
No, thank you, my dear.
That's a nice view of the ocean you have, Mr. Shelby. There's nothing like a California beach house, I always say.
Yeah. Right now, Dillon, I'm only interested in what you have to say about the business at hand.
Yes, I found your man.
Uh-huh. You're sure that he can handle this sort of thing?
With the greatest of ease and experience.
Here's your drink, Dillon.
Thank you.
Who is this man?
His name is Roxy Madera.
Madera, huh? Roxy Madera.
Sound familiar to you, Mr. Shelby?
Oh, he's the one who was released recently from the federal penitentiary?
He's the one. I was Roxy's attorney before the state relieved me of my practice.
Tell me, Dillon, is this man, Miss Roxy Madera, willing to take risks?
Risks that could cost lives, including his own.
Listen, a life to Roxy Madera is no more than a grain of sand. Well, Mr. Shelby, what do you say?
I say Roxy Madera is our man. Get him.
Gee, Roxy, you still dance as good as ever.
Sure, Billy. I'm a regular ballet star.
I missed you awful, honey.
Yeah?
Yeah, awful. Now it'll be like old times again.
Better. Give me a kiss.
Roxy.
Never mind the kiss. Answer the door.
Oh, Dylan.
Hi. You took your time getting here, Dylan. Sorry, Roxy. Held up in traffic. Okay, let's not waste time. Sit down. Billy, shut that phono off, huh?
Yeah, all right.
And go in the other room and powder your nose or something. Okay, Dylan, what have you got? Well, I spoke to that certain party. Just the facts? Yeah, all right. The shipments consist of antibiotics. Anti-what? Certain types of drugs, such as penicillin, sulfur, and aureomycin. So? These drugs are being shipped down the coast regularly by truck to certain warehouses in this area. From there, the drugs are distributed, some of them shipping overseas to military stations. So you want some of the loads hijacked? As many as possible. Who for? Why, I am not free to reveal names. The certain party will pay well for each load. Like what? Oh, $15,000. Uh-huh. And your cut? $5. Kind of greedy, ain't you, Dylan? Oh, no, I don't think it's unfair, Roxy. After all, I went through a lot of trouble. I made the arrangements. Okay, quit bleeding. When's the first job? Tuesday night. Now, what about your crew? I'm a one-man crew. I bring Billy along just for the kicks. Well, that's all right. After we work out the details, I'll leave the rest to you, because I know the job will be done with your usual thoroughness. That's right, Dylan. When Roxy Madera knocks off a hijack, it stays knocked off.
I'll be glad when this haul is over, Vic. I'm pooped.
Me too, Joe. What a way to make a living, huh?
There could be worse ways.
Give me a for instance.
I'm sorry you asked the question. Hey, Vic, up ahead.
Hey, there's a car blocking the road.
Guy's waving us down.
With a gun.
Better pull up, Vic.
Okay, you two, come on down.
What is this?
Down.
Hey, look, Mac, you can't pull a thing like this.
Joe!
Can't pull it, huh?
Roxy! Roxy, why did you do that?
That felt like it, Billy. This is the best way to operate. Any arguments?
No, Roxy. No argument.
Agent Braden, Los Angeles Counterspy Field Office, to David Harding, Headquarters, Washington. A truckload of antibiotics was hijacked last night in this area. Both drivers murdered and bodies left on roadside. Truck missing. No further detail. We'll keep you posted.
All right, you two guys. Like I told a friend, when Roxy Madera knocks off a hijack, it stays knocked off.
Agent Braden, Los Angeles to Harding Headquarters. Report just received that third truckload of antibiotics has been hijacked. Pattern continues same. Both drivers murdered. Standing by for any special orders.
Harding, Headquarters, Washington. To Agent Harry Peters, Philadelphia Field Office.
Peters, go ahead, Mr. Harding.
I'm leaving here immediately by jet. We'll pick you up at the airport there.
What's up, Chief?
We're flying out to Los Angeles. I'll lay out the details for you later. details, would you? You've had me second-guessing my head off. We're going out to Los Angeles, Peters, to supervise a hijacking investigation. Hijacking investigation? All the big stuff going on these days, I'd have thought that would be a strictly lower echelon operation. Not when there's a threat to national security. Maybe I should keep my big mouth shut and listen. Go ahead, Chief. Peters, you're familiar with the importance of antibiotic drugs. I sure am. Penicillin did the job for me when I had that strep throat 2 years ago. Well, in the past 2 weeks in the Los Angeles area, 3 truckloads of antibiotics were hijacked. In each case, the drivers were murdered. Nothing to go on yet? So far, nothing. Those drugs, Peters, were not only to be made available for civilian use, but a great portion was to be shipped to our armed forces overseas. And I don't doubt some of those hijacked drugs will find their way overseas. I don't follow. We've been receiving reports from our agents in the Asian sector that American antibiotic drugs have been smuggled behind the Iron Curtain. Oh? Which means that in case of an emergency, we could be short on such supplies, and they could be well stocked. It could mean that. We've got a big job in front of us, Chief. Big is right, Peters. Every minute counts.
For every minute he keeps me waiting, Billy, so help me, Dillon is going to pay.
He'll be here, Roxy.
Give me a cigarette.
Sure. Here.
So light it.
Here. Oh, dark here, Roxy.
Ain't so dark I can't count. Car's coming up the road.
I hope it's Dillon.
It better be.
That's you, Roxy?
Yeah, it's me, Roxy.
I'm sorry I kept you waiting. I got caught
In traffic, yeah, I know. Make with a payoff, Dillon.
With pleasure, my friend. Here you are. For the 3 jobs. It's all there.
Minus the withholding tax.
What? Oh, you mean my little cut?
Don't get cute.
No, I only...
Come on, Roxy. You got the money. Let's get
Keep
back
your holder on. I got something to say to the middleman here.
Well, what's on your mind?
You. I don't like a middleman. A middleman's a leech.
Oh, look.
You look, middleman. Now I know who that certain party is on the other end of the deal.
You know?
Carl Shelby. He's the guy who's paying off, right?
How'd you find
I
out?
trailed you one night to Shelby's beach shack down in Palos Verdes. I'm the kind of a guy who doesn't like to do business with a guy I don't know.
Oh, you'd like to meet Shelby, is that it?
Yeah, that's it.
Well, that's all right, Roxy. I'll take you to Shelby.
Now you will. I'll go there myself. I don't need a middleman to introduce me to Carl Shelby.
All right, Braden. Thanks. Peters.
Yes, Mr. Harding.
Come in here, will you?
What is it, Chief?
Agent Braden just called in. Peters, looks as if we've got our first real break in the case.
They located the trucks?
No. The body of a man named George Dillon was found by the state police a few hours ago in the outskirts of town.
George Dillon. What's his background?
A disbarred lawyer. Now, here's the tie-in Braden came up with. Dillon once represented Roxy Madeira, and according to our records, Madeira was released from prison 6 months ago after serving a term for interstate hijacking.
So you figure that Madeira's in on this case, hmm?
Yes. Braden also found out that Dillon and Madeira were seen together recently.
And Madeira should have some interesting answers to our questions.
Yes, he should. But Braden reports no trace of Madeira.
Oh?
So, Peters, I want a pickup bulletin for Madeira sent to all our field officers.
Get right on.
Wait a minute, Peters.
Yeah.
One more thing. Until further notice, I want an armed guard placed on every truck in the Pacific Coast area carrying antibiotics. Maybe playing both ends against the middle will work out for us.
Now, don't tell me, Shelby, you miss your middleman.
Well, not for personal reasons, Roxy. But you've endangered my entire operation by murdering Dillon. Like those waves out there, it'll blow over.
Maybe you didn't hear me before. The counterspies are looking for you.
So let them look. They won't find me here. I don't get in your way, do I, Myra?
Of course not. I find you stimulating company.
From 72 years ago, November 26, 1950, Counterspy. The news from 72 years ago today, when Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox continues. Thanks for tuning into this Saturday Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, an episode of Counterspy, the case of the Hideous Hijacker from Sunday, November 27, 1950. In the newspapers of that Sunday 72 years ago, these were some of the headlines. Rallying Red forces fought back in northwest Korea today and rushed reinforcements up for what may be the showdown battles with 110,000 surging UN troops. The communist counterattack crimped a push by the U.S. 25th Division on the Unsan sector of the General Northwest Allied Offensive that jumped off Friday, aiming to end the war quickly. Communist China has refrained from an all-out offensive in Korea on Russian advice, that according to diplomatic sources in London. The report said a Soviet mission believed headed by Marshal Grigory Konstantinovich Zhukov was dispatched to Chinese, Manchurian, and Korea to investigate the possibility of full-scale military intervention. After the appraisal, the mission's recommendation was no. Politicians puzzling these days over what effect General Eisenhower's purchase of a Pennsylvania farm will have on the 1952 presidential race. If the general should be Pennsylvania's favorite son candidate, it wouldn't be a bad spot, since Pennsylvania has the third largest delegation to the GOP convention. How Pennsylvania goes depends a lot on Governor James H. Dull, the Keystone State's GOP ruler. Police Inspector Eric Gustafson said yesterday an Oakland woman told him she killed and butchered Elizabeth Short, the Los Angeles Black Dahlia sex-slaying victim. The inspector said the admission was made by 34-year-old Christine Reynolds, a stocky blonde. Mrs. Reynolds, he said, gave the statement so I can look myself in the face again. The FBI arrested a second Mississippi banker on embezzlement charges yesterday, but said the two cases were not connected. Joseph Edward Ryan, 43-year-old cashier of the Bank of West Point, Mississippi, who had been a Chamber of Commerce official and church steward, was charged with embezzling or misapplying over $25,000 in bank funds. Earlier last week, Terrell Collins O'Neill, assistant bank cashier at Drew, Mississippi, charged with embezzling $100,000 of his bank's funds. And in Southern California, at least the celebrated reindeer of Mr. S. Claus won't get enough work this season to justify the feed bill. He's coming all right, but he'll arrive by every imaginable conveyance except reindeer. In El Centro, California, Santa will arrive by stagecoach, at Inglewood astride a donkey, and at Long Beach aboard a canal boat. And in San Diego, he's coming in a balloon, and at Fullerton by helicopter. Those some of the day's top news stories as reported in the newspapers of Sunday, November 26, 1950, on your radio Counterspy, which continues now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
See, Shelby, I ain't in anybody's way.
Roxy, I think it would be best for all concerned if you were to take a trip south. Say to Mexico.
Who asked you to do any thinking for me? If I want to take a powder to Mexi, I will. If I want to stay here, I will. Just don't lay out any cook's tour for me.
I'm going into my office now. There's some business that I have to take care of.
Oh, who's holding you here?
Myra, would you care to go with me?
I've got a terrible headache, Carl. Really.
Very well.
Aspirin's good for a headache, Myra.
Really?
Yeah. But I got something even better. Give me. See what I mean?
You don't waste time, do you?
Do you?
What do you think? I'd like a drink.
So?
No ice in the bucket. You'll find some in the kitchen.
I'm used to Billy getting the ice.
Well, now you'll have to get used to my ways.
Okay.
Yes?
I want to see Roxy.
Oh, Billy, I believe is your name.
That's my name, Slinky.
Well, I won't ask you in. You already are.
Where's Roxy? Don't lie. And why didn't he call me in 3 days?
Why don't you ask him?
I'll make this easy for you to understand. Simple.
I'm sure anything you have to say will be simple.
Stay away from Roxy.
And if I don't,
I'll beat you up so hard you look like cake batter.
Well, you make your point rather colorfully.
Yes, well, don't make me prove it.
It seems to me that Roxy's become bored with you of his own free will. And to know you is to understand why.
Why, you... I'll give you something to understand.
Well, it'll take more than you.
Ow, my hair!
Black roots, I'll bet.
Let go!
Come on, break it up.
I'll kill her, so help her.
Break it up, I said. There's feathers all over the
Let
place.
me go, Roxy, let me go.
Sit down, Billy. Stay there if you don't want me to bust you in the face. Sorry, Myra. This one's got no manners.
Roxy, you're a rat, a no-good two-timing rat.
Ain't no manners. She doesn't even know how to talk in front of a lady. I told you to stay in a
You
chair.
don't have to worry. I'm not going to touch your lady. I had an idea why you didn't call. I had the right idea. You're going to be sorry, Roxy. Real sorry.
I'll have that drink now, Roxy.
As soon as I get back,
Where are you going?
there's no telling what a jealous dame will do. I didn't like the way she said I was going to be sorry. I didn't like it at all.
May I help you? Operator, get me the Counterspy field office in Los Angeles.
Counterspy field office in Los Angeles. 1 moment, please.
Roxy!
You are listening to the case of the Hideous Hijacker on Counterspy.
November 26, 1950, Counterspy. The conclusion follows these messages on this Saturday edition of Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Another Phillips H. Lord's creation tomorrow, Gangbusters, from 74 years ago, November 27th, 1948, The Greedy Gunman. But now the conclusion of Counterspy, 72 years ago, November 26th, 1950.
Harding, Control Car S1 to Field Office, Los Angeles.
Agent Braden, Los Angeles Field Office.
Braden, what about the report on those bullets?
Just checked with ballistics, sir. They'll have it any second. Anything turn up at your end?
Well, Peters is still in the tavern inquiring. Call me as soon as you have that report.
Will do.
How'd you make out, Peters?
Batting average 1,000, Chief.
Yeah?
3 out of 3 people in that tavern identify Billy Horton as Roxy Madeira's girlfriend.
All right, Johnson, back to the field office.
Too bad Billy didn't live to finish that phone call to us. Any reports come in while you were waiting for me?
Well, I've been in touch with Braden. The lab check made on dust particles in Billy Horton's clothes indicate a corrosive action of sea air for a period of weeks.
It means she's been around the Bay Area for some time up to her death. And it also pins down the whereabouts of Roxy Madeira.
Providing they hadn't split up.
Braden to Harding. Braden to Harding.
Harding, go ahead, Braden.
Ballistics just finished the report, Chief. The bullets which killed Billy Horton were fired from the same gun that murdered George Dillon.
Chief, that's proof enough that Roxy and Billy hadn't split up.
Braden.
Yes, sir?
Send out a special alert. Have all our patrols in this area concentrate the search for Roxy Madeira in the Bay and Beach territory. I want Madeira brought in, preferably more alive than dead.
And now, Roxy, we've reached a point where you're no longer visiting. You've simply moved in.
You wouldn't want me picked up, would you, Shelby?
Well, you'd be much safer in Mexico. I've offered to finance the trip.
But, Carl, it's not like you to be this inhospitable.
Inhospitable. Myra, do you realize that he intends to remain with us from now on?
And now you're losing your poise.
In a minute, he's going to lose some of his teeth. Shelby, I'm staying here just as long as I want to stay, so get used to it.
And you, Myra, am I to understand this arrangement suits you?
Well, I can't really say it doesn't suit me. Sorry.
You ungrateful little...
Shut up!
You animal.
Get up, Shelby. The conversation's over. Get out and take a walk for yourself. The sea air will do you good.
Hey, got a message to meet you here, Mr. Shelby.
Get in the car, Sid.
Al said you had a special job you want done.
Very special. You know Roxy Madera?
Yeah, I know Roxy. He the job?
Yes. It's my wish to rid myself of Madera permanently. I'll pay you the usual price, $1,000.
Gee, I don't know, Mr. Shelby. Roxy's an awful tough customer.
Well, very well, then. $1,500.
When?
Tonight. After 10 o'clock.
Where?
You'll find him down at my beach house.
Your beach house tonight after 10.
Yeah. I'll be waiting at my office in the cannery. As soon as you're finished, come there and I'll pay you. And the quicker the better.
I'll make Roxy Matera a real quick job for you, Mr. Shelby. I'll be back for the payoff at 11.
What time is it, Myra?
2 minutes to 11, Carl. Now, why do you keep asking the time?
You'll find that out in a moment.
Now, why'd you call me to come here to your office at this time of the night?
You'll find that out in a moment, too.
You're acting very peculiar.
Am I? As you know, since Roxy Madera intruded upon my hospitality, I haven't been myself. And neither have you.
Are we going into that again?
Oh, you needn't be so annoyed, my dear. I shan't bother to talk to you about Roxy again. The problem has already been solved.
What do you mean?
The answer to that question is at the door. Come in, Sid.
Sid couldn't make it, Shelby.
Roxy.
Roxy, what are you doing here?
Tell her, Shelby. Shelby's got his tongue tied on account of he thinks he's seen a ghost. Get me fingered for a knockoff.
What?
Your boy Sid is in the cellar of your house, Shelby, with a head full of holes.
Roxy,
Shut up. Figured you'd try a stunt like that. It was all ready and waiting with his gun.
No, Roxy. No, please wait.
Shelby, on the way up here, I was thinking what I should do about you. I could knock you off, but that'd be too easy for you. One slug and it's all over. So I figured I'd give it to you the hard way. Come on, Myra, baby, let's go. See what I mean, Shelby?
I got the message you wanted to see me here in the lab, Mr. Harding. Something special up?
Yes, very. One of our agents in Hong Kong came into possession of a parcel of American-made Oreomycin. It was scheduled for transshipment to Manchuria.
Huh?
There's the package on the lab table. It was flown back to us by special plane.
And the lab test proves what?
Well, see for yourself, Peter. First, look into this spectroscope here.
Metallic presence.
Specifically, zinc. That zinc was clinging almost imperceptibly to the cardboard container.
And the drug container was smuggled out in a tin, or rather a zinc receptacle.
Yes. Now take a look at this other spectrograph.
I can't make it out. What is it, Chief?
The lab technician tells me it's fish.
Fish?
Yes. And I think it's going to be the means for us to catch our own fish. Put an end to this case. Harding, Control Car S1 to all raid squads. Take your designated positions. We're going in now. Come on, Peter.
All right. That cannery, Chief. I never figured it this way.
We'll go in through this door. Keep me covered.
Right.
There's a light in the office down there. Come on, let's go.
Whatever you say.
Now.
All right, stand where you are.
Oh, there's no need for surprise, gentlemen. I was half expecting you.
Stand up and get away from that desk.
All right. Anything you say.
Carl Shelby?
Yes, that's my name.
You're under arrest by the United States government for espionage and complicity in murder.
I had nothing to do with the murders.
That remains to be proven. We know Roxy Madera is mixed up in this with you. Where is he?
It'll be a pleasure for me to tell you where Roxy is at this moment. Exactly where he is.
I'm afraid, Roxy, you've permanently destroyed Carl Shelby's equilibrium.
I told you to forget about Shelby, didn't I, Myra? Concentrate on me.
It's difficult not to. You know that.
Sure.
But I can't help wondering about Carl. He won't take kindly to orders.
He'll take orders from me, or he'll take what Dylan and Billy got. Anyway, who needs Shelby now? You got the names of his contacts overseas. I'll deal with them direct.
Roxy. Roxy Madera, who takes what he wants when he wants it.
What about you?
We're alike, Roxy. We're the people who take.
There's another way?
None. We'll go a long ways together, Roxy, you and I.
That's right, Myra. No stopping us.
What could that be? Carl has a key. He never rings.
Answer it, but don't open the door. Go ahead.
Yes, who is it?
Counterspy.
Counter.
Open up. We know you're in there, Madera. Come out with your hands up.
Roxy, what are we going to do?
Get away from that door. Here's what I'm gonna do.
Try that for size, coppers. The house is surrounded, Roxy. You haven't got a chance.
Chance, huh? Come on, Myra.
Where?
We'll make it out the side door and up the stairs to the road.
No, Roxy, we'll be killed.
Come on, I said.
Roxy, please don't make me go with you.
I thought you said you were my
I
kind.
don't want to die, please, Roxy.
Shut up, shut
no.
up. Go ahead, open the door.
They'll kill me.
Open it.
Drop your gun and come out, Roxy.
Okay, Myra, I'm going out there, but I'm going my way. Come here.
No, what are you doing?
Get in front of me. That's the way I'm going out.
Shoot me first.
Cops are too polite to shoot a lady. Open that door.
Please, Roxy.
Open it. I'm coming out, coppers. You shoot and this dame gets it from me. Get going, Myra. Keep moving fast.
You can't get away with it, Roxy.
You open up and the dame gets it like I said. Moving, Myra. Go on over to the stairs. Faster. Up the steps.
I'm behind you, Roxy. Drop your gun.
Out of my way, Myra. I'm making it alone.
Get it, Peters.
I'll get you, coppers. I'll get you all.
Well, Peters, that's the end of our trail and the end of Roxy Madera. Let's go.
Tune in every week, same time, same station, to Counterspy. Listen next week for the exciting Case of the Prattling Paper.
When enemy agents thought they had silenced one of America's top research men by murder, they didn't know that his research had made paper talk like a black streak. How your counterspies gave this black streak a voice will be revealed for the first time next week in
The Case of the Prattling Paper on Counterspy. Tonight's Counterspy program originated in New York, was directed by Marks B. Loeb, dramatized by Edward J. Adamson, and featured Don MacLaughlin and Mandel-Kramer. Lionel Rico speaking. Counterspy is a Phillips H. Lord production.
From 72 years ago, November 26, 1950, Counterspy on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. A reminder, my friend Ted over at RadioMemories.com supplies shows on cassette, CD, or flash drive for your computer. He restores them painstakingly so that you hear them probably better than a lot of people heard them on the radio in the day. RadioMemories.com. Also, a reminder, next hour we will have the first episode of The Cinnamon Bear. Yes, from 1937, so be listening. It'll continue all the way through Christmas Day on many of these stations. Also, my friends, if you miss a day on this station, you don't have to miss a single show. You can hear every episode of Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox at my webpage, classicradio.stream. There you can stream our shows, learn more about classic radio collecting. You can contact me. You can find our social media links, and you can buy me a coffee that helps us keep this Classic Radio Theater program going. That's at classicradio.stream. And tell all your friends, great radio shows are right here at this spot on the radio dial. Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on your favorite radio station.